Hello everybody and welcome back to another video today. Today I'm going to be showing off even more items of that I got off of eBay. I recently went on a $450 spending spree on Thomas merchandise, specifically Trackmaster. Yes, Trackmaster, not Tomy, and Thomas Wooden Railway. So here are the packages here, and I also have another one coming with another Trackmaster release. So I will get these two packages out of the way and we will focus on this one and take a look at the latest Trackmaster item, the first Trackmaster item that I have in my collection. So before I open this box, I did just take away all the plastic surrounding the box. I did have a lot of Trackmaster as a kid. For example, I did have the RC Flip Face Thomas, the one that came with the set of Tidmouth sheds, that Trackmaster Tidmouth sheds. Yes, I did have that. I remember building that as a kid was such a pain, but that set is really cool. I had that as a kid. I had a ton of Brown Track. I had Molly, James. I had all the engines from Trackmaster and Tomy pretty much. And so I never really got back into collecting Trackmaster when I started collecting Thomas again, because when I was younger, I basically just threw all of it in the garbage. I don't have anything from my childhood, and so I had to start completely over, completely from scratch, completely fresh. And so this will be the first Trackmaster items that I have in my new collection, the one that is on this YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's get this box open. I just opened the box, and actually I bought multiple items from the same seller, so I did have to take out one of the brand new items and put it off to the side because I will be taking a look at that one in a separate video. But today's video, as you already saw from the thumbnail, is going to be on the 2010 Trackmaster Edward. Now you may be saying, why on earth would you buy a Trackmaster item with a Fisher-Price logo? And my explanation for that is I cannot find a brand new Tomy Edward for the life of me. I really want a brand new Tomy Edward with this packaging or just any Play-Rail Tomy packaging. I want the original Edward. I do not want the 2003 version. I really don't like the 2003 Play-Rails, to be honest. I prefer the original ones by far. And so I really want the original Edward, but I can never find it brand new. So it's a bummer, but I did settle for this one. I may like this one. It does have the correct side rod configuration, if you want to call it that. I never would buy the current Play-Rail Edward. That one is terrible. They really butchered Edward in motorized, that's for sure. Now Edward in the current motorized line doesn't even have a release, nor does he have a release in the push-along line. So Edward as a character in modern-day Thomas and Friends is as good as dead. So I thought it'd be a good idea to pick up this Edward. Now, you may be asking, well, how much did you spend on this Edward specifically? You know, because it's not that bad if you bought it for cheap, right? Well, I spent over $100 on this Edward. I spent like $110 probably after shipping, around there. So I really need this Edward to be good. And if he isn't, well, I'm still going to keep him. He's got the correct side rods and wheel configuration-ish, you know, with the side rods. I just want those. I don't want the wheels of the current Play-Rail Edward, Tomy motorized Edward, whatever. So that is why I will be keeping this one. I just pray the face is not bad, because this was released in, 2010. So I don't know what face they used to base these engines off of. Would this have been like the nitrogen era? I don't even remember. For sure, it definitely had to be. But let's get Edward out of the box here. This is pretty exciting regardless because, like I've said, I've never had a 2010 Trackmaster item before in my collection. I always had from the previous years. But here on the back side of the box, we have the date on the bottom, 2010. This is brand new. So we have Toby, that comes with a wagon. We have Henry, and then we have Edward, but I'm pretty sure he does not have that face. That is not updated. And then we have Whiff, who comes with an orange wagon, and then James, who does not have that face either, and Henry does not have that face either. I don't know about Toby, though. I think they changed Toby's face. I'm not sure. But there's the back side of the box. Like I said, 2010 on the bottom. And then here is Edward. So let's get the box cutter out of the way. So here is 2010 Edward. There is that face. It's not terrible. It looks kind of awkward, but I already can tell I'm not really going to have a problem with the face. I'll just think it looks awkward. It's not, you know, the classic Mattel CGI Edward face, which I absolutely despise. So if I get stuck with like a nitrogen, weird transition face, that's not the worst thing in the world. I'd rather have that than a Mattel just pure like season 20 CGI Edward face. That would be disgusting. I would never buy that. So I'll take this. So without further ado, I actually do need the box cutter here. We got to get Edward out of the packaging. I'm just wondering, the thing with this type of packaging is I don't know how to get the engine out without completely ruining it. Okay, so I think I got the tape off, finally. And we can get Edward out of the box here. I don't know what, oh, there's tape on the bottom, that's why. There we go. So I'm actually kind of excited for this Edward. There's tape on the top. I'm just not with it today. So I am excited for this Edward because I actually never had Edward as a kid. He was one of the few motorized engines I never got. I never really got the narrow gauge engines either. But yeah, Edward I never had. So let's put the box off to the side. And yeah, this is definitely kind of the start of the decline of packaging, that's for sure. You know, for Thomas and Friends. You really can't even save this packaging. I'm just going to have to kind of tear into it. There we go. And then one more side. Okay, so here is Edward out of the box, brand new, from 2010. So, initial thoughts on Edward, everybody. The face definitely is kind of strange. It's not the best Edward face, but it may sound crazy, but yeah, I really prefer this over the Mattel face. By a mile. It's not even close. And the thing I'm most happy about is just that he has the proper side rods. You know, he has just the correct wheels that the original Tomy version had. Here's Edward's co-load. That looks good. Other than that, it's basically just a normal Tomy Edward. He does have red lining. That's a difference. The wheels just look a bit different. You know, obviously Fisher-Price made this. The face is different, obviously, but overall, not bad. I'm not upset about this Edward, that's for sure. So I guess, how do we get batteries inside of Edward? Let me look. Oh, so he is tender powered. Okay, so let's get my screwdriver here. Let's get some batteries inside of Edward, and let's get him running. So let me know what you think about this Edward down below in the comments section. I did see a Trackmaster 2010 and Henry James, 2010 Henry, and a 2010 James available on eBay. And, you know, while I bought Edward, for sure, I don't think I would ever buy a 2010 Henry or James, because those faces, I think, were hurt a lot more than Edward's was. Okay, so goes in like this. Co-load goes back on. I'm not going to lie, I did look up some pictures and a few videos on this Edward before I clicked purchase because I didn't want to be walking into some nightmare spending $100 on an engine that I wouldn't really like, but I did see the face beforehand. I was like, yeah, I can live with that. It's a brand new Edward off eBay, first time ever having him, so I think it was worth it. Let's turn him on. So he sounds really rough. You can kind of see the wheel kind of skipping. I wonder if the gear is cracked at all. So believe it or not, the gear looks fine. I just think, I did see in another video with James that I think these 2010 engines, they just don't run very good. So I think this is just what my Edward is going to sound like, which is kind of a bummer. But let's get Edward onto the tracks here. So we do have the Tommy layout still. We've got Neville at Brendam Docks. Arthur's at Brendam Docks as well. We have Thomas on the station loop, and then we have Duck in between the loops. So I do have a train ready for Edward. I'm kind of worried of how he will run, considering that was the noise and that's what it looked like. But let's couple them up here. So the train's ready, and I guess, you know, let's at least get a good look of him on the tracks here. So this is 2010 Edward, everybody. I'm not sure why he's got these holes in the front wheels either. That's kind of weird. But he's got the correct side rods, so that's what makes me happy about this Edward. Probably just a few plastic changes that Fisher-Price made, you know, of course, as expected. So let's turn on Edward here. So he runs smoothly, but he's pretty slow. He is incredibly slow. Oh, fuck. All right, we're back. And so, as you can just hear, these Fisher-Price engines are very loud. They're very slow. And Edward struggles through Brendam Docks here. Something underneath the body of Edward just does not like these parts of the track. But, yeah, I really don't know how to feel. So, you know, if an engine is a very smooth runner, especially with the battery-powered engines, it kind of makes up for some of the flaws that the engine has. But this Edward already is not the best, and he's let's face it, a terrible runner. He's very slow. He kind of struggles on certain points like that right there. I'm not sure why. He should be easily going over the drawbridge considering it's going downward. Struggles through Brendam Docks. I mean, I know these engines were just not made for Tommy and Tommy accessories, but I mean, there's nothing extreme about these pieces that would be affecting the engines. So yeah, I spent over $100 on that. Oh, dude, why did I do that? So, you know, I might have to, we'll see. We'll see what I do with this Edward. I'm not sure. But let me know what you think about Edward down below in the comment section. Do you think this Edward is worth it? Would you only have this Edward if you had Brown Trackmaster track? Would you even bother with him if you had Tommy track? I can try Edward on this loop. The one that Thomas is on. Very weird contrast. So we have a Tommy Thomas running pretty fast, smoothly along the station loop. And then we have Edward he sounds horrible. Why do these engines sound so bad? Dude, Fisher-Price and Mattel really can't get anything right. Even back in 2010, Fisher-Price could not get anything right. Just listen to how Edward sounds. And I've seen other videos on YouTube when I was researching some of these engines. They are just as loud and noisy. Not very pleasant to listen to. And they're so slow. Yeah, so I don't know how to feel about this Edward. I'm going to stop him when he comes through the drawbridge here. You know, even the correct side rods, I don't think can make up for that. So, let me know what you guys think about this Edward in the comments section down below. I was pretty high on him before I put him on the track and turned the switch, but he's a very loud runner. I'm not sure why there's I don't like the holes in the front two wheels either. Again, you know, a good running engine can make up for a lot, but that is not these engines. Again, Fisher-Price cannot get anything right. I guess a good rule of thumb is whenever you see this logo on Thomas merchandise, don't buy it. Just don't even bother looking into it. Just avoid it at all costs, because then you avoid situations like this. You avoid situations like opening up the terrible 2025 80th anniversary merchandise. You avoid all of those disasters. And so, yeah, I'm not really happy about this Edward after that running session, but hopefully the next video will be much better, because it is not an engine. We do have some other pieces to take a look at from Trackmaster. But anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. What do you think I should do with this Edward? I'm not too sure. Keep it or sell it? We'll see. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.